The FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network, on Fox News.
I've got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. They promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
So let me get this straight. Apparently, when Attorney General Pam Bondi said this,
the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
Apparently that didn't mean the client list was on her desk, but rather that all of the paperwork in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes were on her desk. And if you're thinking to yourself, that doesn't really make sense, you'd be right. It doesn't, because it is a desperate lie, and when you tell lies on top of lies on top of other lies, this is what happened. You're left spinning a web of lies so clearly false that you just sound like an absolute joke. Perhaps this White House might consider, even just once, being honest about literally anything. Also, it's pretty rich hearing Leavitt explain that this DOJ is committed to putting bad people behind bars as it relates to the whole Epstein saga, when Donald Trump literally appointed the prosecutor, Alex Acosta, who gave Epstein a sweetheart deal to his own cabinet in his first term. In 2007, as U.S. Attorney, Acosta approved a plea deal that allowed Epstein to plead guilty to a single charge of solicitation in exchange for a federal non-prosecution agreement. And Trump rewarded that guy with a role as Secretary of Labor in his White House. So let me ask you, do you really think Donald Trump is going to be the guy who gives you all the answers you're looking for when he has surrounded himself by the very people who are responsible for why Epstein has evaded accountability in the first place? This all comes in the aftermath of a bombshell Axios story yesterday revealing, quote, President Trump's Justice Department and FBI have concluded they have no evidence that convicted sex offender and disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed powerful figures, kept a client list, or was murdered, according to a memo detailing the findings obtained by Axios. So apparently, we've got hundreds of victims, tons of evidence, and yet not a single client other than Epstein himself that this administration can point to, despite months and months and months of promises saying the exact opposite. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. It also makes moments like this one back in February all the more ridiculous in retrospect.
In this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway, we don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Kash and Pam, there will be accountability.
That was Alina Habba explaining that, quote, we have flight logs, information, names that will come out. So was she lying then, or is the White House lying now? Because clearly, there's a major disconnect here. Although perhaps we can ask those right-wing influencers who went to the White House and waved around their little Epstein binders. People like Jack Posobiec and libs of TikTok's Chaya Raichik. How about Matt Wallace, who tweeted, "I just saw the leaked Epstein files, get ready for the world to change tomorrow." Quite a few right-wing influencers and personalities dangling these promises. And yet now the whole thing is closed with no further information. So my question becomes, where is all of this promised information? Where are all the smoking guns? Unless these right-wing personalities were lying to their followers back when they made these promises, stringing them along with promises of world-changing news. Is that what they did? Fool the rubes in their base for social media clout? Or was there actually major news that they too are hiding, just like this White House seems to be doing? Because it sure seems like someone was lying, so the question becomes, were they lying before or are they lying now? And of course, we would all be fools to ignore the fact that there are quite a few warning signs that might explain why this White House has a vested interest in keeping this under wraps. Take, for example, a certain tweet that nearly got Elon Musk deported. He took to Twitter writing, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT." And if Elon's claims aren't moving enough, then maybe just consider the footage that's already out in the zeitgeist, like this. Oh, and if that's not enough, then take Trump's very own cagey comments about releasing the Epstein files when asked.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
So look, will this have any impact on Trump supporters' willingness to carry water for the God King? Maybe for a few people, they'll realize the extent to which they were lied to by Trump, by Bongino, by Bondi, by Patel, by all of these right-wing grifters who waved around their little binders filled with supposedly incriminating information. Maybe now everyone will realize what a con job the MAGA Republican Party has become. The whole thing is a scam to keep the marks thinking that they're fighting some righteous fight, when in reality, the real purpose of that stuff is keeping everybody nice and distracted with flashy topics like Epstein, while Republican officials use that cover to lower their own taxes. Perhaps now MAGA will finally realize the extent to which they've all been conned, while people in power make themselves richer by the day. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.